Welcome to this I Want Fitness chat. So today we're chatting with Lulu Thompson, she's got quite a number of titles under the Mind Body Mojo banner. So diet recovery coach, body positive PT, and counselor. Am I getting the third one right? This is a lot to remember.
I'm a clinical social worker. So yeah, counselor definitely falls under that.
Yeah, and we've known each other probably for 3 years, I think now.
Yeah, 2.5, 3.
Yeah. So and we got to meet in Queensland a few years back, which was also really good to have a chat. So obviously there's a very big issue with women and body image that I come across all the time in my work. And obviously you're working directly with those people with those issues. So why don't we just dive straight into it and just talk about what body image is to start with, I guess. It might sound simple, but maybe there's more to it. I don't know. You tell me.
Thanks, Liz. Thank you for having me. Super appreciate. And I really love talking about this stuff. So happy for anyone to pop me questions after we chat, send me a DM. This is something that I am, really passionate about because you're right, body image in itself does sound quite simple, but we as communities and as coaches and friends and families and mothers and daughters, I think we underestimate just how important it is and how much it actually has an impact on all of the ways that we show up in our day. So, I guess me as a coach, my big thing is just to empower women and to make them feel, capable and strong and all the things that they want to be doing. And so this issue of body image is so pervasive in the way that we do things in our everyday life. So I guess, if you kind of stop and think about it and pick it apart a little bit, the studies show certainly that about 70% of women have negative body image. And so what that sort of is impacting on is then your dieting or your exercise response. So if you have a negative body image, you're more likely to, I guess, then pick those not so healthy diets, perhaps those, those fad diets that we're always sort of talking away and trying to get people to move away from. So it impacts on your eating behaviors, how you see your body, but also trying to then change your body. You're also then seeing yourself in that deficit mindset. So what you're seeing is very much in something that you feel that you need to change, something that you feel negatively about. And when we get stuck in that negative mindset, that also then impacts on the way we see ourselves in the world. So it impacts in the way that we show up at work or in relationships or in the gym. It slowly sort of chips away at our confidence. It chips away at the things that we feel confident and capable about. And then in that, that kind of cycle, it just sort of goes in that very negative loop. So you've got the negative body image, you've got the negative food behaviors, and then you've got that impacting on your confidence level. And it can just kind of become a very, very stuck cycle for a lot of people.
Sounds like really, you sort of go into a rabbit hole kind of thing. Like you just keep feeding that negative, I don't know, mindset. And everything, and it just brings you down to a point, like you said, where you feel stuck.
That's it.
And it's kind of like, how do I get out of this?
100%. And I think that we in the fitness industry don't necessarily have the best ideas as to how to help people, not because we're not good coaches and we don't care, but it's just a really, really complex thing. It's just really, there's a lot of pieces to it. And, to help people to stop being stuck, we also have to be aware of the environment that we live in and understand all these influences that we're impacted on these are the things that we, as much as we would like to change, we can't. That's our, we're in this thinness obsession, and weight loss and fat loss is something that we're going to see in front of us all the time. We're exposed to all these imagery of what we should be looking like, and all those things also impact over the top of this sort of vicious cycle that's sitting in the middle. So that's body image in a nutshell.
You did that very well. And it's so true that it's very easy to get stuck because of what we're exposed to every day. It might be the people we're around, it might be what we see online or on TV, or the discussions that we have at work with people, and also with our kids and how they're impacted. So I mean, I think we're touching on a very touchy subject as well, because it's not, I don't think it's really talked about, and it's also not really addressed in the fitness industry that much. There's a lot of focus on exercise and nutrition, but not a lot on mindset and how you perceive yourself, and how you negatively impact your environment and your own health. So it's a really good topic today, and I'm surprised that 70% of women have that negative body image, which is kind of sad in a way.
It's really sad. Yeah, that that to think that people who have a balanced or healthy, positive body image are the abnormal ones. I think that's so telling.
The rare ones. Wow. Okay. So let's just sort of, what perpetuates, I mean, I touched on it a little bit, but what perpetuates the negative body image?
Yeah, so it is certainly, I guess, big picture, small picture, and, those little things as well. So it was sort of touched on the big picture stuff. It is, I guess, important to recognize, that your culture and your location will impact on it. So being in a Western society, we are going to be exposed to much more of that imagery. We are going to have more of that push towards that size zero, just considering that in other cultures, different body shapes or types or sizes are more accepted or more favored or more worked towards. It's just, I guess, something that is one of the constraints that we live in. It doesn't mean that we have to fall victim, I guess, to some of that media and marketing. When we know what it is and what we're seeing, we can be more able to disconnect from it as well. So you've got your cultural and your geographic location. You've got as well, then, I guess, in your closer inner circle, you've got your friends, you've got your family, you've got your workplace. If you're part of a group, a community, like our fitness community or a religion or any sort of things where you're going in and having these kind of conversations fairly consistently and fairly regularly. I guess consider the conversations that someone might have who is in a workplace that focuses on beauty or fashion. A lot of those conversations are going to be about appearance-based and aesthetics-based, compared perhaps to someone whose workplace is in finance. It might not be as something that's so aware or so prevalent in the conversations or the everyday sort of stuff. And then I guess the other thing that impacts on it a lot is what we grew up with. So we have to be aware that everything that we were exposed to as a kid or as a teenager does become part of our beliefs and our mindset. So, if we were in a family where mum was on a diet for her whole life, or, food was something that was either not talked about or overly talked about or overly focused on, same with weight and shape, all those sort of things, those are extremely individual. But we can also understand that there might be some common themes across people who, particularly if you have a negative body image, if there was a lot of negative talk about body sizes or weight or food, that's something that you will then have in the way that you perceive others, perhaps, or your own body.
So it sounds like you can get hit by any angle, really. There's so much out there. It's kind of like you're trying to recover from a negative body image, improve your negative body image, but you're constantly reminded in your environment of, what used to draw you into a negative body image in the first place. So I can imagine that even trying to flip that over, it can be quite challenging. It's not going to be a quick fix from what it sounds like.
And, you know, like, I guess,
So,
you know, I am focusing on how people develop their negative body image, obviously, and we'll talk about more about the positive body image. But I think just in the first step is just understanding how much of this other stuff we're exposed to and impacts on us in that way that, you know, I think as females particularly are so self-deprecating and so focused on that guilt and shame. You know, I've done something wrong. I've done all of this to feel this way about myself. And I think just having a bit more of a less blinkered view, you know, seeing all the other stuff that's impacting on us and being able to understand that it's not just all our responsibility. You know, I think that just gives us a bit more of that grounding and a bit less of that sort of shame-based thinking sometimes.
Yes, and that brings me to a comment made by one of our viewers, that she compares herself to others, and why are they getting amazing results and not her. So I guess that's again putting it on yourself, that's saying that you're doing something wrong, or that you're a bad person, or, you know,
exactly,
negative. Yeah, and then just going, oh, you know, and I think it's just bringing it back to, well, hang on, we're all different. We're at different parts of our journey. We've got different things going on in our head. We've got different commitments. We've got different, you know, we're different home environments as well. So I guess, you know, those factors might, I think just remembering that's not, the next person is not in a similar situation as you. It could be very different, even though they might seem like they're the same.
Yeah. And that, you know, I think we probably talk about that comparison trap thinking, that no matter, you know, no matter what, there'll always be someone else out there who's doing better or looking better or doing something better than you. So in
your eyes, that's actually
whatever
not
you
true,
feel,
right?
as soon as you feel good about something, I guarantee you can go find someone else that will make you feel bad about it if you're in that mindset. And so, you know, some of those things we'll probably chat a bit more about the specific strategies, but, you know, catching our thinking as well, catching those when those thoughts come about.
Because some of those things probably happen autonomously or automatically, should I say, and we're not aware of them until maybe you work with someone or it's pointed out to you, or you go, oh, why do I feel so crap? Oh, that's right, I just scrolled through my Instagram feed. You know, just recognizing what's causing you to think that way or feel that way. So let's say you know, someone woke up in the morning and they put their clothes on and they're just feeling, they're not feeling comfortable. They might not, you know, like what they're seeing in the mirror. They might say they're feeling fat, which is not really an emotion. What would you say to someone who is in that boat, or is thinking that way or feeling that way?
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you picked that up, because, you know, fat is not a feeling, but it is quite often our default when we perhaps can't describe what we're feeling or can't recognize what we're feeling, or you know, are just unable to recognize what's going on in our bodies. So, you know, I feel fat, which could be like 1,000 different things. So I think, you know, that first instance when you do sort of wake up and you go, oh, I feel fat, you know, I'm hating what I'm wearing, everything feels awful. It's just a second to just check in, like what's actually going on in my body. You know, am I feeling bloated or puffy, or is it something I've been eating, or did I have a shit sleep? You know, that interoceptive awareness, which for a lot of us females, because we're such stress heads, is really hard to do. You know, you have to take that second to take a bit of a body scan. What's going on in my body? What am I feeling in my body? Is there something I can sort of identify that's happening for me right now? And is that contributing to how I'm feeling in my general everyday today? The next thing is to check in and go, what is happening for me emotionally? Like, did I have a big fight with someone yesterday? I've got a big stressful day happening that's making me feel, you know, not confident in myself. So that's, that's making me blame my body for these feelings that I'm having. The self-criticism, is that something that we notice is a bit of a regular thing, maybe around our cycle, or something when we're happening, something that's happening, monthly or weekly, but is there a particular trigger or time or day that we know that sort of brings up those negative feelings? And so when we are thinking about feelings, or feeling I'm having a fat day, it could be I'm feeling depressed, I'm feeling lonely, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling unloved. Being able to perhaps just take that few seconds and deep breathe, really check in, what is it that I'm actually feeling? We are quite good at blaming our body for being the cause of all the problems, or the cause of what's happening. So unfortunately, it is a conditioned thing that I think we kind of are exposed to from as kids, that if something's gone wrong, the body is the problem and changing it will be the solution, which is not necessarily always the case.
No. But it's because, like you said, it's a default. So someone might wake up in the morning and just go, oh, I hate this, I hate myself, I hate all this crap, I have to get up. Like, if you're not feeling light, or like even just doing that automatically, not realizing, because I think at one stage I was waking up and I was like, ugh, like that, sort of trying to just be aware and go, oh, well, why am I doing that? Why is that even there? Like, I want to be excited. Well, sometimes it's just a matter of going, okay, I don't need to do this anymore. It's not helping me. It puts me on the bad foot as soon as I get out of bed, get out of the wrong side of the bed. And just try. Yeah, I love that you're thinking, like you're offering some ideas on what else could be going on for you. Why is this happening, or why is this routine of whatever it is that you're feeling or thinking happening, and where's it coming from? So that's really good, like sort of exploring that. Maybe something like journaling might help.
Definitely
keeping a diary.
Some journaling, just bringing a bit more awareness to your thoughts. So journaling is a really, really good one, because you can start to write down your patterns of your thinking, or start to sort of notice when these sort of traps come about. So like you mentioned, we can get really good with our routines, with our, health behaviors and our habits, but working on our mindset, it's just the same. It's the same thing. You have to practice it. You have to do the actions. You have to do them consistently and repetitively. Take the time in your day and put the intention behind it as well. If you want to get fit and healthy, you go, okay, I genuinely want to get fit and healthy. I'm not going to just go to the gym for a week and then stop. You go, you make the effort, you try something, if it doesn't work, try something else, all those sort of things. And it makes such a big difference. I can't tell you how much of a difference it will actually make if you genuinely put effort into it.
Yeah, I agree. Daily practice, if you can. Spend even 5 minutes, just, or a couple of minutes, just in the shower. Might be in the shower. Just, I reckon that's great. All right. So if I have kids that start talking negatively about their own bodies, like for me, if I hear my kid talking negatively about their own bodies, that my heart would sink. Like, I would be like, oh my God, where are they getting this from? Or what's going on here? How do I work with that? Like, this is complex. I get it, but maybe you've got some ideas around that.
Yeah, so look, kids are obviously going to pick up stuff that doesn't come from our mouths, and there's only so much control that we have over things that they're exposed to at school. But that doesn't mean that we in the home can't model those healthy behaviors and healthy conversations. And I think, like we just mentioned, some of those default things that we might say about our bodies, like, I've got fat thighs, or I can't fit into these swimmers because I've got tuck shop arms, or mum's feeling frumpy today, I'm going to stop eating sugar tomorrow. All those sort of things that we don't realize, I guess, what message is kind of behind them. And you know,
it might be something that you just say without actually thinking about what you're saying, right? You might be in the mirror and your daughter's just there and you're trying on stuff, and you go, oh, I don't like how that sits, and you start touching maybe your tummy, your thighs or whatever, and they do really pick up on everything that you're saying, and I guess they mimic us, don't they? Because I see it at boot camp all the time, where if mummy's doing a burpee, the kids come and they start doing burpees. Like they copy us. So yeah.
And none of what we do or what we say is done with intention. Like we don't intentionally speak negatively about others, and we don't intentionally speak negatively about ourselves. I think as part of what we are encouraging people to do with, I guess, being more aware of our own thoughts is also then being aware of the conversations that they're having with others and the conversations that they're having with themselves. So the thoughts that you have will come out, you know, in the words that you say about yourself. And so if we want to genuinely help our kids have better body image, some of that is about that role modeling. That doesn't have to be you know, self-love, body positively, like everything's amazing, but just some of those more balanced conversations and some of reducing a little bit of that self-criticism and that self-judgment.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, so, you know, super hard. Like there's no panacea, no magic bullet or anything like that. But it's also,
there's no pill I can take.
I wish.
Can I take a pill? Sorry.
I think it's a super important place to start to have conversations with kids when they're old enough, you know, like how do you feel when people say all these comments about your body, and you know, what is it that you like about your friends? Can you describe some of their attributes for me? You know, getting them to start to think about ways that we consider people that isn't just the physical appearance.
Yeah, I hear things from my girls about kids at their high school. It's kind of sad, really, because some of the comments that might be, oh my God, I look so fat in that photo, or, you know, sorry, I put on a bit of high school chatter, but or even just you know, even mucking around. I think parents mucking around, oh, you know, calling their kids tubby or something like that. They think it's an endearing word, but it might be something that the kid might carry with them negatively as well. So I guess there's some really good tips there from you, that the intent isn't to be nasty or anything like that, but it could impact them, and just being mindful of what you talk about with them. Yeah, or even with other people, with them in earshot as well, because you might be chatting with your friends and there's your little child sitting in listening in on the whole thing. So yeah.
And I think a really good example of this for us and for everyone who's listening is if you can have a think about back when you were a kid or in high school or whatnot, have a think about an instance where someone made a negative comment about your body, because I guarantee that everyone who takes a second to think about it can think of something like that. You know, that there's those triggers that will sit with us from childhood, that I'm sure that when we think about it, it wasn't said with a negative intent or something to make us feel awful, but we will always hold these sort of thoughts in the bottom of our minds. And everyone's got a different one, but when we think about it like that, you go, oh, okay, it's easy, you know, it's easy for that sort of stuff to happen. And we're never going to be perfect, we don't expect perfection, but we can try to be a little bit aware of it, and a little bit more conscious.
Yeah, and I'm sure anyone who thinks back to that, whatever situation it was, are probably going to get a bit emotional or teary about it too, because like you said, it stays with you, but you also take the emotions with you, don't you? And that may impact, well, obviously a negative body image for yourself, and also drive you to do those unhealthy things like you know, restricting eating or maybe over exercising or whatever that is. So and obviously social media has a large impact on our body image as well. Did you want to dive a little bit into that as well?
Yeah, I think The funny thing is the research just shows that it's actually our generation who have more struggles with social media than our kids. I think because the kids know it's so not real. There's so many things that they can look at and understand that, you know, that's airbrush, that's fake, that is all put together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then it's our generation who seem to really fall into very much the comparison trap stuff, and particularly that scrolling, getting really stuck in the mindset of comparing yourself to what you see on Instagram, but it's not real. Comparing yourself to things that are just a false reality. So, you know, social media.
I've seen those before and after photos that are taken like within 3 minutes of each other, or even a minute of each other. And one photo is just the girl just pushing her tummy out and sitting in a certain way, and then the next image is, you know, obviously looking
good lighting, good makeup,
just making a few changes, and instantly you've got a completely different photo. But it can be tricky. Like we can be tricked in thinking that that's, you know, that was all because of exercise, nutrition, you know, and it was taken in a number of months or weeks apart. So yeah, there's a lot of that on Instagram, isn't there? A lot of those kinds of images, even on Facebook, that that can play with our brain and make us think, oh,
why not me?
In that before photo.
Why can't I do that? What she's doing?
Yeah, or that photo of her that's perceived as her before photo means that that's the wrong type of body shape to have, and I identify with that before photo, but that means that I need to change because she did it and she's getting all this praise for it, like, wow, amazing, good job. Not realizing she's got an eating disorder, and she's got, you know, or she's unwell, or somehow, you know.
100%. And that all comes back into that, you know, that modeling that we live in, that people will give praise and give validation and give support to weight loss, and say that, you know, no matter what, that's whatever you've achieved there is amazing, no matter how you've achieved it. And I think we can see some places now it's a little bit starting to move away from that, which is really good. But like realistically, yeah, exactly. And it's only because we choose to go against the grain, really, you know. That is
and that was actually it's a hard move as a business to do that, I'll be honest, to move away from that focus of the aesthetics and the weight loss, only because, you know, weight loss is so celebrated, but I think for me it just never sat well, and it just made people feel like they're not good enough as they are, and I try to focus more on fitness and health, and also the mindset behind it, like working with a negative mindset to try and help women see that, you know, you know, you're doing these things for health and well-being and fitness and strength, and look what your body can do, rather than you look amazing. You know.
Yeah, because, you know, I feel like when that's what we're selling, we're underlying what we're selling there is that you're not good enough, you know, that you should always want to change. And, you know, I think that certainly we can support people to change in a very healthy and compassionate way. But it's by focusing, like you're saying, health first, everything else, you know, the weight loss might come second. But when you start to make change from a place where you feel good about yourself and comfortable in your skin and all the things that really require work, unfortunately, the stuff that is hard and it's not going to happen overnight, when you get to that really healthy place is when you can go, okay, cool, what is it that I want to work on now, rather than taking that shame-based approach, which is what so much of social media is trying to sell us. Change now.
I think it's well documented that if you praise someone, you know, let's say there's a child and you're always telling them, you know, you're doing a good job, and then the child's like, no, I didn't. It's like, well, hang on, you did this right, you did that right, yeah, okay, maybe it didn't give you the result that you were after, but, you know, you're doing all these things right. And then, you know, so I guess bringing that back to yourself and saying those things to yourself, because if I'm sitting here telling myself, I'm no good, look at me, I just, blah blah blah, just bringing myself down. And that's where I can't now, like, it's harder to sort of get motivated to do
Hmm.
the things that benefit my health and fitness, because I'm just down here going, oh, I don't feel like it now, I'm just going to grab a bag of chips and sit on the couch because I'm just useless and blah 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 blah. Whereas, like, talking yourself up, hey, you know what, okay, I didn't achieve a few things, but I did get, I did drink the water today, I did get enough sleep today, so I'm doing okay, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Don't be too hard on yourself.
Yeah. And being able to create communities where you have all that, the same vision of supporting each other and working towards feeling a positive regard and self-actualization and all that sort of stuff, where you are supporting yourself to grow as an individual rather than beating yourself down because of things that you haven't done, and doing that in that supportive environment. It's not very common, unfortunately, but
I'm trying to start a list of non-scale victories, so on my portal, so women who may have achieved doing a certain number of push-ups on their toes, or just achieved something that's not scale related or scale based. So I'm hoping to build on a list of non-scale victories so I can share that with the world, so that gets more notice. It's celebrated more than aesthetics, if you know what I mean. So
yeah. So it's so important, and I am super hopeful that as things progress in the world, that this will become more common than less common.
Yeah, I get a feeling there is a shift going on. So in the fitness industry,
so do I.
I think it's getting stronger. And going back to social media, just, I guess it's so easy to just scroll and sit on there for a good half hour, or because I get stuck. I do get stuck on there going, oh, I'll just go and write a message to so and so, or I'll just check on this, and then I end up like I'm there for a while. So and just mindlessly doing that. So I guess everything that you consume is going to have, even though you don't really think about it, just seeing imagery or information on, like we said before, maybe someone showing off, or gorgeous photo, or whatever it is, sexy photo. Like what do you suggest for someone who may be following certain accounts that they think is inspiring but is actually making them feel like crap?
I think the way that you need to feel, the way that you need to think about how you feel when you're seeing these sort of accounts and stuff. So if you feel like it is inspiring, then you will leave the experience, or the 5 minutes or 10 minutes scrolling, thinking positive things about yourself, positive things about your future, positive things about others. If it's something that is you think is inspiring, but it's actually not, it's kind of bringing you down, you'll leave the experience thinking, why don't I have that? What's wrong with me? How do I get what someone else has? Why can't I?
I've got to go. I've got to go and do a gruesome workout right now because I'm not good enough.
That urgency as well. There's a that rubber band effect. Like, it's gone. Okay. And now I feel awful and I've got to go and do something about it. That's that urgency that you've got to move away from the feeling that you've been feeling at the moment. So just starting the diet or doing the workout, or going to go clear out the cupboards of everything that I've ever looked at, just checking in with your body. Are you having those super comparison trap stuff? Usually you'll feel it like in your throat or in your heart or in your belly. It will feel like knots or uncomfortable. It is really that sort of physical stuff as well as the mental stuff, when you're sitting there and taking it all in and just making yourself feel, not very nice inside. So if that's happening, I am a big believer of the culling and the balanced perceptions, I guess. So if there's someone particularly that you keep going to and it's feeling yuck, unfollow, mute them, whatever you need to do. I do that with my emails, with my social media, with my Facebook, all of that sort of stuff. And then think about how you can give yourself a bit more of a varied feed. I think it's super important to see like bodies of different shapes and sizes. So we don't feel like we're just getting so bombarded with what media is trying to sell us, which is that size 0 sort of stuff.
There's so many great body positive Instagram accounts out there now. So even just looking at that hashtag, and just finding some awesome things to follow there. And even if you follow them for a little bit and see if it resonates or feels right, and if it doesn't, you just unfollow, follow someone else. So
yeah, exactly. You don't have to feel like pigeonholed into just following all of those ones, but when you are exposing yourself to a variety of bodies and shapes and sizes and different things as well, we take away so much of that, where you feel like you only have one thing that you're sort of following or trying to get towards.
Yeah, cool, awesome. I love this stuff. This is so good.
I'm super hopeful that this is helpful for all of your ladies. Obviously, if anyone's got any questions, drop it in.
Yeah, so we've got a couple people on, and we're also on Facebook. Some people are probably in the middle of picking up kids right now. So what else can we talk about? I guess we're gonna finish up there, or do you want to add anything? I think you've got a blueprint, body confidence blueprint that you want to share with the people on the call.
I would love
and my database
for everyone to have a little look at that. So some of the stuff that we've talked through today are in there in terms of some tips. So this first one that we talked about is your social media, sort of culling and thinking about what you're exposed to. And then we've talked in there's another one about journaling. There's a couple of prompts and things which can be really helpful. With the journaling, some of the things that I like to get people to work on is a bit of gratitude for our bodies, and as well as trying to feel like there's perhaps a little bit more of a balanced perception of self. So recognizing when you get into that really self-critical mode, are there ways that you can sort of challenge some of those thoughts, and what are some other things? It doesn't even have to be about that positivity. It's more about that neutral. So is there bits of me that I do like, bits of me that I feel okay about, things that my body can do, all those sort of things that again takes the focus away from that very self-critical sort of stuff.
I'm glad that you actually said that, because it's not about, I think it's a big step, isn't it, from hating yourself or hating your body to loving your body. That's quite a big step, isn't it? So it's all about the little things. It's just those minute things. It's like, well, okay, I hate my legs right now, but you know what? I've got, I love this about myself. I've got great whatever it is. And just like, I think I put up a post yesterday, wouldn't it be great if we obsessed about all those things that we love about ourselves rather than focusing on all the negative stuff? So that relates well to this chat too. And we do get angry with our bodies for doing the wrong thing, when it's up here. Everything's driven by what's in between our ears, right? So
yeah.
So don't get angry with your body. Stop fighting it and just allow it to be what it is, and be grateful for what it can do. And what do you say on that? Did you want to add anything to that?
I think the body positivity movement is really good in ways of seeing, getting exposed to different bodies and ideals and things like that. But I think for most women, that like kind of ooey gooey self-love stuff isn't very realistic. I think that what we should really be trying to move towards is just body respect, having balanced thoughts about ourselves, and taking our energy away from the negative self-talk and putting that energy into something else. So if you are someone who spends a lot of time just getting frustrated about your body or hating your body or letting it get in the way of things that you want to do, my goal for women would be to reduce the intensity of that, take the energy away from that, and put it into stuff that makes you feel good. And, you know, kind of keeping that cycle rolling.
That is so good. Great advice. Yeah, because I think people do struggle with that whole just love yourself, just love who you are. But, you know, it's not that simple for some people, especially when they've been of the other mindset for so long, especially like my age group in there. I'm 45, and just, you know, trying to change what's going on up here. It's first of all, obviously, is the awareness side of things. And I guess that's where the journaling comes into it, because some women might be like, I don't want to journal, but, you know, that's journaling is not that I do it religiously, but I just find that it's kind of like you're talking to someone, but you're figuring it out yourself. It's a great way to figure things out yourself, isn't it? So just putting it all on paper and start asking those questions, you know, why am I feeling this way? What's happened that makes me feel like this? So some great tips there. Thank you. And then I think you've got the shame spiral. Did you touch on that? I like this, giving your harsh inner voice a name.
Yeah, so if you've never sort of had a go at any of this sort of stuff, it can certainly feel a bit woo-woo. But, you know, what we are doing is creating an awareness of what's going on in our head. So rather than everything going on autopilot, we're trying to take a bit of a separation so you can have a bit of an awareness of your thoughts, and then choose to either engage or not engage in some of that negative thinking. So that's, you know, some of the process or the idea behind what we're doing. And so, yeah, giving your inner critic a name is something that a lot of people actually find really, really helpful. So you can name it whatever you want. You know, you can be Judgy Jane or Negative Nelly, or it can be your Aunt Clara if that's who the voice is, who, you know, rings out nice and loud. But, you know, what we're doing is then going, okay, I know that story. You know, I know that voice. I know that negative stuff that's coming up and what that's sort of doing. So you go, you know, taking a pause, taking a breath. Okay, thanks for showing up today. Thanks for bringing your thoughts or your inner story to me. I'm going to make the choice not to engage in that negative spiral, because I know where that goes. That goes swiftly downhill very quickly. And I'm going to make the choice to focus my attention on something else more positive, do some mindfulness, do some self-care, or just not tune in, so detaching from some of those thoughts. You know, like these practices are super duper duper useful. It might be something that you have to do over and over and over. When you start getting used to it, you go, okay, it's there, detach, it's there, detach, all that sort of stuff. It can get easier with time, obviously. And not sure if you talk about like mindfulness and stuff in your group, but it's also something that's really, really helpful. Just using any other apps, like they're all really good.
I like that. It's so cool. I haven't used that particular way of dealing with that negative Nancy voice. I call her Negative Nancy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I work a lot on affirmations, and so having an affirmation that resonates with you, or maybe not resonate with you, but you'd like to take it on board, even if you're not feeling it. So it could be, I love my body and everything that it can do, and using that when the negative thought patterns come in, and trying to just, take, like you said, take the energy out of the negative mindset and just focusing on the positive. So even if you don't feel it at the moment, you could use that just to, and as a little, like, that's my thing. I'm going to work with that affirmation. That's what I'm going to work with.
Yeah.
So I do allow, and I allow them to choose what that is for them. So I don't tell them what it is, because everyone's different. Like you said, it's a complex thing. Everyone's at different levels and different stages in their lives, and things change all the time, don't they?
And we are all so individual, you know, that we have to find what works for us at the end of the day.
That's it. And I think it's important that we all go easy on ourselves too, because I'm one to be quite harsh, or give myself a hard time when I'm not living up to my own expectations. So and that's a downward spiral that I can get into as well. So and just be okay that, okay, so you've been like this for a long time. Would you, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been like this for a long time. That doesn't mean that that's all wrong or bad, or you've been a bad person. It's more like, okay, you've just come to another awareness now that this is something that you do, and you're going to work on changing that. So look ahead rather than looking into the past and beating yourself up about it. Would you say that that's good advice?
Oh, certainly. You know, I think at the end of the day, beating yourself up about anything actually does no one any use. And I'll say this to my clients all the time, and they'll say, I did this and I'm bad and I feel blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, you know, let's sit with it for a moment, and then let's acknowledge that going and beating yourself up over this is not going to help you. It does no use to anyone, no use to you and no use to me. So let's make the choice of accepting it, letting it go, and moving on with whatever you need to do next. You know, there is, you know, I think, like I was saying at the start, taking some of that self-responsibility away, understanding that we are creatures of our environment. We have all these different things that we've been exposed to, that when we, you know, beat ourselves up because we didn't lose a kilo this week is nonsense, because there's so much other stuff that goes on into it. We have to just be kind to ourselves and go, oh, okay, it's interesting. What's going on here?
Yeah, what's going on here? Or it's interesting. I'm just going to just forget about it and move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I guess we'll just sort of slowly start to wind things up. I just wondered if you'd like to let everyone know how they can get in touch with you, what sort of things you can help them with. What did you want to just go into that?
Yeah, for sure. So obviously I'm on the socials on Facebook and Instagram if you want to follow me. Mind Body Mojo. If you're on Instagram, Mind Body Mojo AU. So like you said at the start, I'm a therapist, a counselor, so I do one-on-ones if anyone is really struggling. I guess with what I work on in the therapy sort of stuff is, like we talked about, the mindset. It is super important. And it's something that, you know, I do feel very passionate about. So if it's something that you feel you would really like to get a bit of an extra unpack with or deep dive, and particularly if it's something maybe you've tried a bit and you haven't seemed to make much progress with it, you know, just let me know. So obviously that's online and face to face. I'm up in the Central Coast if anyone is up there.
That's
and
New South Wales.
New South Wales. I'm in New South Wales, yes. And then I do some group coaching stuff as well, which is again around mindset, body image. Now that is, you know, pretty much what we've sort of been talking about today. So it is just sort of working through some of those strategies, some of those behaviors. We do focus around like nutrition and fitness. Got one coming up in a month. If anyone is interested to get more info about that, we'll be going through the Body Confidence Blueprint. That's going to be a 6 to 8 week program with more yours truly. And basically, if you ever are interested to, you know, get more resources or information, anything, I'm always open to chat. Like, it's something that I obviously feel very passionately about. So feel free to hit me up.
Cool. Thank you. So what are some cool Instagram accounts to follow? Can you give, do you know any on the top of your head?
What are some cool Instagram accounts to follow?
Cool, or even just more in line with BOPO. So
I have been getting really into a lot of the hashtag body positivity ones, but I've found some really cool ones which are under the body positive hashtag body BOPO glittery. BOPO, I'll see if I can find it. Basically, body positivity, and you all like self portraits of people covered in glitter.
Oh my God.
I think it's really cool. I don't know if everyone else does, but I just think it's like the best thing ever.
It's great spin on body positivity. It's great.
otherwise, I just try and follow lots of like broad range. So it might be stuff like from powerlifting, or Olympic athletes, or body positive. You're going to get a pretty broad range. There's lots, I think, around which are quite more or less the same sort of stuff. A bit of your vanilla sort of fits both things. I probably don't. People always tell me, "Have you seen Bloody Blonde?" I'm like, I don't even know who that is. So, I think just trying to get a really cool broad range. Lots of women doing really cool stuff in fitness and sport, which I just think that all that sort of stuff is really inspiring.
Yeah, I follow a company that does silks.
Yeah.
So that's suspended in the air and doing acrobatic stuff with silks. And what if there's someone who would like some help, like some websites that are relating to eating disorders, or disordered eating, or body image as well, not apart from yourself? Is there other services around that people could tap into or look at?
A good couple places to start would be Butterfly Foundation. So that's the Australia-wide Eating Disorder and Body Image Support. There's also NEDC, National Eating Disorder Collaboration, and Victoria, Eating Disorder Victoria as well also has a fairly good website. So they are all evidence-based. So their focus will still be a little bit more on, I guess, the pointy end with the eating disorders, but they'll still talk a little bit through body image, disordered eating and things like that, which is, I guess, your precursor. I don't know any good body image websites off the top of my head, so I will get back to you with that one. I'll do some research. There's probably not enough that exists, if that is the right.
Can I ask about books as well? Do you have any book recommendations? I'm throwing these at you, and I never gave you any chance to to prepare.
If you're interested to understand a little bit more like research-based stuff, so Health at Every Size. There is the original Health at Every Size book.
This one, Linda Bacon. Yeah,
that one. So that's quite in depth. It has a lot of research. It gives you a lot of different ways and constructs. I guess in that sort of same vein, there's the Beauty Myth. Both of these books are a little bit old now, but they take a little bit more of that feminist perspective of body image and how we sort of think about and explore our bodies. Intuitive Eating is a really good book if you want to think more about your body image and your eating behaviors. There are a couple of more body image books, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. But if you're sort of looking on Amazon, if you go down the sort of anti-diet movement, they'll be sort of in that sort of area. So if you do a Google for anti-diet, there's definitely a few out there which touch on, I guess, which we haven't even talked about today, but how these sort of things all intersect with the body image and then the food stuff. And that's usually there's a few out there, but I'll give you a couple of good recommendations.
Yeah, awesome. Maybe there's another chat in there down the track.
So juicy.
I know. We could talk for hours. Look, we've gone for 55 minutes. We're doing well. We're doing well. No, I counted for an hour. So
okay.
So anyone who's missed the chat and has just jumped on to Facebook or just seen my emails, I will forward you a recording of it. So I will get everyone the link to the Body Confidence Blueprint by Lulu or Louise. So I'll get that out in the emails as well. So thanks so much for today, Lulu. And yeah, it's been really good actually. Good chat, and I think we need to talk more about this sort of stuff just in general as women in our communities. So it's good. I love it.
Awesome. I appreciate everything that you do, and I'm sure your clients appreciate it all as well.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'll come back anytime you want me.
Yes, I think we will have to have another chat, maybe at a better time. So
Too easy.
I think, yeah, I know I picked the time thinking, yeah, that'll be fine. Women will be waiting in their cars for their children at this time. And it's like everyone's just busy just racing around to get to school. So yeah, it's all right. We'll work it out next time. But I think we've recorded it. It's going to be available for everyone. So nice. All right. Well, have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Iz. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Al.
Bye.
Bye.